My mother was and still is the biggest influence in my life. She loved football, college football. And she put me in front of the TV watching Penn State football when I was 2.5 years old. And this one Saturday, the electrician came and I'm jumping up and down watching Penn State football. And I say, I'm going to be a Nittany Lion. I'm going to be a Nittany Lion. I'm going to be a Nittany Lion. And the electrician, my mother said, oh, that is so cute. How old is she? And my mother said, 2.5. And that's why Penn State football has been a part of me since I was 2 years old. I knew I was going to go to Penn State, but it was the love of football that got me to this campus. So when I was growing up, we would go to Fairmount Park, which is the big park in Philadelphia, a lot like Central Park in New York City. And my mother wanted us to go in the park to enjoy nature, but also to get away from the asphalt concrete and the hustle and bustle of the big city. My mother introduced me and showed me nature in an environment, and that was the impetus for me to come in environmental resource management, and the Forest Service was the impetus for me to be a forester. And what occurred was end of my freshman year, I was still 19 years old. I tell people I was a baby in the cradle, and the Forest Service contacted another one of my mentors. And I obtained a job to work for the Forest Service in Philadelphia, technically the suburbs, in forestry. I didn't know where the Forest Service was. All I knew is I had a job in the summer of 1984. I had a job. That's all I knew. I was going to make money that would help my family. It took me 2 buses and a train to get to the office. I called my mother, and when I informed my mother that I want to be a forester, her first words were, if you want to be a forester, you can be a forester. She did not say, you're African American. No, African Americans don't go into forestry. She didn't say, you're a female. No, she didn't say that. She didn't say, you're an urban person. My work in the Forest Service for 40 years. Forest Service has allowed me to stay engaged in education and, of course, nature, what we call it conservation, and service, and Penn State instilled that in me when I was a student here. Those are my values to the day. They were my values back when I was 2.5 years old. They were my values when I was a 20-year-old freshman forestry student, and they're my values today. When you move forward is where you reach back and help others to climb that next path to success. So I agreed to create a scholarship in my mother's name that would be for minorities who major in agriculture and natural resources, more for people who need some assistance, whether it's for books or for tuition. And so that's why I agreed to that, because of my upbringing, knowing that helped me to go through get to Penn State as well as stay at Penn State. The tree would be the foundation of growth, and my mother loved nature, and so there's a tree planted here. And then the water wall, because my mother loved water, and I thought, wow, we can develop a wall that would be in cement with my mother's name, and that would be the connection for her to the Arboretum. A legacy is not who you are. A legacy is what you do and what you leave. I realize that is where my legacy that I love about Penn State, my alma mater, education, nature, and service, and my mother, I can do that legacy. So that's what I would encourage those alumni out there to think about. Where can I put my mark that connects youth to the history and the future and your lifetime achievements? It can be here at Penn State.